Alright, and we're so back. Thanks for clicking on the video, and just like the title, I've got 5 little tips for, new people who are backpacking. And I would say the first tip would be you may need to rethink your medical bag, because I see so many videos and people are, they're trying to save weight and be as light as possible, and they have like 2 band-aids and an alcohol pad or something like that. And I've had, good buddies or, people I've known in passing especially tell me stories of like, I really hurt my leg, I was out there camping and stuff. Or I know this one guy, and he was walking across a creek, and a rock rolled onto his ankle and it totally crushed his ankle. And if he didn't have service, he would have been in there for a bad time, because he didn't have a Garmin with him. It really sucks when you have to splint up, broken bones with like twigs and stuff, and you're having to tie it together with whatever string you can come up with. It's just a bad time, and it's definitely worth the wait, I assure you. And I've seen some people say that like, oh, you shouldn't even bring that stuff because you probably don't even know how to use it. And it's like, well, it's kind of cheap. A lot of it is kind of cheap, like a triangle bandage and the SAM splint, and Coban and Curlex, and QuickClot, not so much. But I'm not saying bring a tourniquet or anything, but just kind of some of the the fundamentals to keep you alive if something were to happen that you could use on yourself. And if you don't know how to use it, or are unfamiliar, or if you're feeling rusty, there are plenty of really great videos on how to splint, on how to stop the bleed and stuff. And I promise you, it's not that complicated. I would rather you have it and not need it, and it not take up that much more weight, maybe a couple of ounces, than for you to need it and, the worst happen. You know what I mean? Next on the list would be don't always trust YouTubers. Really, best case scenario is they give information that is helpful to them in their environment for their budget. That's best case scenario, and then you can, possibly get something out of that. But worst case is they're shilling for a product that they've not really used or don't really believe in, or whatever, and they're giving you information that won't work for you in your situation, in your environment, for your budget, and that could just be really detrimental. You know what I mean? Like what we're, this hobby, camping and hiking and stuff, it's not like rocket science, and so you can really, take a look and be like, does that make sense for me in my environment? Can I really trust this guy? You know what I mean? Just kind of not take everything with a grain of salt, but you're an individual, and God gave you a brain for a reason. Because now that I've kind of been doing this for a little bit longer, I go back and I look at some videos that some YouTubers have put out, and I'm like, I know for me it certainly doesn't work for me, and that's bad advice for me personally. And my next tip would be cheaper is not always bad. A lot of these products, that like Nemo and Thermarest and Big Agnes and tent makers and whatnot, they sell these products that are super duper light. They're not the most durable, and they're made for people who are through hikers and whatnot. But for people like you and me that don't live on the trail, that only go camping once a month or so, we don't really need something like that. We're not putting in 20 miles a day, for 5 days a week or something like that. So we don't really need to spend 5 times as much or 10 times as much on a product that is, only a few ounces lighter. It is not unreasonable for you to find and buy a $200 sleeping bag, a $200 sleeping pad, a $200 backpack, a $200 tent, and then a Garmin for another $200 or so. And it's like, that's $1,000 for just those 5 items. And those are the biggest items, arguably, but you still can't really go camping with that. No cook kit and poop kit or whatever, and I've no water filter in that. But I mean, $1,000, that's a significant amount of money. Because I mean, if you say you make $60K a year, and you have a place to live and a way to get to work and some food, and you're just paying for that, and you want to put back some money every month, you only have about $7,000 worth of disposable income per year. And if you spent $1,000 on some, basically equipment to go be homeless for a weekend or two, I mean, that's 15% of your disposable income for a year. That's not nothing. And so just kind of, you can look in and see the specs of different products and see if that, oh, I'm okay with it being 4 ounces heavier, but it's, a fifth of the price or whatever. So that's just something for you to think about as well. And then my last 2 tips are kind of hand in hand, and they're pretty simple. But one would be always bring layers. Even if it's hot or whatever, just bringing an extra something, just in case. That's always good. One time, me and my buddy went camping, and it was so hot during the day. It was like 90 degrees, maybe 92 or something like that. And we were hiking and stuff, and we made camp by this creek, this pretty big stream, I suppose. And at night, oh my goodness, it was so cold. It was so cold, and we didn't bring any like colder weather anything, and so we were shivering, and we were in hammocks as well, so it was even colder. And it was funny to tell afterwards, but during it was definitely miserable. And I would have given a lot to have this $12 pullover or whatever. And then my next tip would be in your jackets and coats, just keep your hat and gloves in your jacket and coat. You know what I mean? I used to keep it in a separate bag, or sometimes I'd even forget to bring them at all because I put them away. But now I'm like, why don't I just keep them all together? But that's I guess that's 5 little tips that I had for you guys. I appreciate you clicking on the video, and God bless you. And I hope you have a good day, and I hope your next adventure is a great one.